Hi everyone, Mr. Baumgarten here with the second Firebase video. So I am presuming that you've just finished working through the how to log in with Google using Firebase video. If you haven't, you should do that first before watching this one. So I will assume that you have a Firebase account, that you have your credentials, that you have a functioning login system happening, which forwards its credentials to an app function, right? And we know that the user will contain these different values for us. Okay, and so I just finished creating the, I've closed it. I finished creating the video that logs me in, displays my name and my photo. Right, we're now going to use this to save and retrieve data using Firebase. And there's two main reasons we would want to be able to save and retrieve data using Firebase. One is if we want to make a multi-user app, especially multiple people using it simultaneously all at once, or if we want an app that remembers things that we did the next time we open it. So we could do something on our app, close it down, knowing that it's been saved in Firebase, open it up the following day or the following week, the following month, and it will remember, our high scores or whatever we had set, previously. So, yeah, a couple of useful reasons for saving and retrieving things to Firebase. All right, so let's do this by making up a quick little mock-up example. And I thought we might just make it so that a person, when they log in, they're just setting what their current status is, a really basic, what mood are you in kind of program. So we'll come up here, we'll keep this showing the client name. Let's get rid of that photo that came up larger than life before. And we'll just put in okay, so what is your current status? All right, and then so we're just going to put in I'll put in a div, which is basically the same as a paragraph, and inside that we'll put in an input box. So type is text, and we'll give it the ID of my I'm using client name, let's use client status. And max length, I don't know, 100. All right, and then we will print out the people browsing this page have left the following status messages. How's that? And then from here we'll just have another div which we'll call messages. Alright, so if we take a look at what we've just done with the HTML, won't be anything too impressive. What is your current status? And people browsing this page have left the following status messages, and there's none there yet. Okay, so first thing, let's make it so that when I type in something, it'll save that as my status. And we could make this wait until we finish typing in the box and then update it, but it might be more fun to kind of see it update as we type. So, all right, let's wrap my head around this. All right, so in our app, let's get rid of that photo line. Okay, so we've got it displaying my name. All right, we need to create a Firebase variable. So let's just a variable called FB for Firebase, not for Facebook. Firebase dot database open close bracket dot ref. Okay, and inside here you just need kind of like a name to identify this particular program inside your Firebase database. All right, so I'm just going to call it what's my status. Okay, don't put spaces in it, don't put numbers or punctuation, just keep it all letters. Okay, and then okay, whoops. Okay, so I've got this thing called what's my status, and I want it every time I'm typing in that text box, I want to be saving that as my current status. So I'm going to need a function. I'm going to need an event that's monitoring the text box. So document.get element by ID, and what did I call that text box? Client status. So let's paste that into there. Add event listener, and I'm going to listen for the event called input, which happens every time we change the input. So when we type a single character, this will trigger. So update my status. Okay, and so that's the function that I'm going to tell it to run. So I need to create a function called update my status. All right, and I'm going to put this inside my main app function. There is a reason for that as well, so make sure you do. Okay, yeah, basically try and keep in the habit of keeping everything contained inside your main app function. This login is a bit of an exception to the rule. But yeah, unless explained otherwise, for now just keep all your secondary functions inside your main app function. All right, so now I need to create a JavaScript object to send to Firebase. So hopefully you know what a JavaScript object is. So I'm just going to call this my update. And so I'm just creating an empty JavaScript object, and then let's put in my update. Let's give it a field, my email, or the email address of the person's update. And you remember that we've got here this user.email, so I can just retrieve it from that. Okay, my update dot. Let's stick with the same naming convention. All right, the display name, and we need the status. So document. All right, because so remember, I can get the status from the value that's in of this input field. All right, so get element by ID, and that input field was called client status. Where am I here? All right, and I want the value of the text box. All right, and then finally, Firebase.child, and we're going to need to put something in that, which we'll come back to in a second, and set. All right, so basically what happens here is think of this thing as like a tree, okay, the contents of your Firebase database. So the root of the tree, or the main branch that we're going to be accessing everything from, is called what's my status. From there, I want to create another branch for this particular user, whichever user it is that's running the web page, and then off of that branch, I want to set all this information, which is going to be the my update JavaScript object. All right, so I need a branch in here, and the name that I put in this branch, that I give this branch, has to be unique. So it can't be the same as any other branch. And so because I'm making this like a social media network, well, like a status page where everyone who logs in gets to set their status. Basically, I want some kind of name that is unique to me. Now, I could just use my display name, except as you just saw, I've got 3 different Google accounts. So if I log in with a different one, but have the same display name, then I will override, the different statuses. So plus for the branches, you can't have spaces in them. So if you were paying attention when I did the login video, I said that this user.uid will come in handy. We're going to use that right now. All right, we'll use that to name my branch. Okay, so if I save this and run it, and I say, what's my status? Okay, having fun learning Firebase. And I keep writing Firebase. All right, that's my status. Now, so far it doesn't look like it's done anything, and if we take a quick look at the console, hopefully there's no errors. No, so it should have, right? It should have actually gone to Firebase, made a branch based on my user ID, and set these three pieces of information to an update. And we can check that. We can go into Firebase, go down to database. All right, and here's my main branch example for so that's the root, my main branch. What's my status? If I open that up, this thing is my UID. Okay, remember I said it was like an alphanumeric code, but it's unique to my particular Google account, and that's all that matters. And if I open that, there's my display name, email, and my status, having fun learning Firebase. So I have just saved something to Firebase, and I still have this open. Well, that's impressive. Right, if I jump back to this, it's updated here straight away. How's that? That was pretty quick. All right, so let's retrieve this information now as well. And Firebase makes this relatively easy. It works very similar to our event handlers. Well, it basically is an event handler. So it's FB, my Firebase variable, on, and the event that we're looking for is called value. So basically anytime the value changes, and we put in here the function name that we want it to run, so receive update. So now if I make up another function here called receive update, and what it has received will be passed as a parameter. All right, so let's put a variable in there called received. All right, and this is what Firebase has sent back to my page. Anytime there is an update, it will now run this function. All right, so on a change of value, run this function. Okay. All right, to access what we want. So to get the data, we can't just use receive straight off as it is. You'll get a lot of errors actually. If you're getting something weird happening and you're not quite sure what's going on, just check this part of it, because I make this mistake all the time. So receive.val open close brackets is what I need. Right? And so I save that into, now data will be an ordinary JavaScript object, which I can do what I want with. So let's see, up here I've got, that's right, my div called messages, and that's where I want to print out my updates. So let's just make sure that it's empty, because every time this runs, I'm going to keep adding to it, add all this, iterate through all the updates. Get element by ID, messages, inner HTML, set it to empty. And we can also, let's take a look, we'll get that, print out the data to the console so we can take a look at it later on. In fact, let's just print it out to the console straight away now. So if I inspect, open up a console, let's readjust these. Okay, so we've got an object here. Well, that's impressive. It He is. All right, and basically, if you can see there, every time I typed a letter, it was creating a new row. Right, it certainly is, and this it's certainly I. It certainly with a space. You get the idea. So it was constantly updating as we went, which is really cool. All right, so we want to loop through all of, because at the moment we've only got the one, right? But we want to try and make something that will work depending upon. Okay, we've got this one key. How do we iterate through all of the different keys? Okay, we need a special type of for loop for this. All right, so for variable key in data, and this will give us the every key that's in our JavaScript object called data. And so each individual person, in this case, will be equal to data key. And now I've got just a single person, so let's make up a paragraph that I'm going to print out. So this is just HTML. Alright, so open the paragraph and we can say person.display name. And let's print out their email address as well. Oops. Person.email, so that with my multiple accounts all under the same name, you can tell which one is which. Alright, and they said person.status. That's what I called it, wasn't it? Yes. And we close the paragraph. Alright, and now I just want to output that. So document.get element ID messages inner HTML. Alright, plus equals. So in other words, get all the inner HTML that's already in there and add this to it. Alright, and I just want to add that paragraph. If I save and run this, alright, Paul Warmgarden has said it certainly is. Wow, isn't that fancy? And you saw it was updating this as I went, right? But the important thing to realize is it wasn't a case of what I was typing was being sent here. That's not what happened. As I typed, it was being sent to Google's Google's Firebase servers, probably all the way over in the US, being saved there, and then their Firebase servers triggering an on-value change event on my web page here, saying this is what I have just received, and here it is. But it was happening at that speed, which is very impressive. And just to show, I put together a demo of this just before the video, if I can remember where I put it. Firebase demo. Right, and then you can see there that there's 2 Google accounts that have left messages. Right, so this is exactly the same code as what you just saw, but I've got the web page running on my iPad as well. So this time, who am I? All right, so this web page is logged in as peoplegarden.ch, so that's my Swiss Gmail account. All right, but my iPad, this is from my iPad. Right, and you should have seen that typing it as I was doing it on the iPad. So there you go, multiple people using the same thing at the web page at the same time, and Firebase keeping track of it all for us. So in the same way that we have sent email addresses, display names, statuses, you could use this to send anything that belongs to a particular user, such as their GPS coordinates, their time, the weather, whatever you want. And it's a nice little way that will keep track of different information regarding each individual person. And then all you need is basically a for loop like this, iterate through it, and you're processing the results for each person that has ever used it. So there you go. Saving and retrieving information using Firebase. Hope you find that helpful. See you later.